today, after court had adjourned yesterday for the day, we heard that Lachlan Young had indeed decided to plead guilty to the murder of his ex-partner, Hannah McGuire. Mr Young had previously pled not guilty to murder. He'd attempted to enter a guilty plea to manslaughter, but this was rejected by the prosecution. But this whole case has basically, up until today, been hinging on intent, on murderous intent, and that's what he had been denying until today. So he had not denied at any point that he did indeed cause Miss McGuire's death, that he killed her in the home that they shared in Sebastopol, that he then put her body in the back of her vehicle and drove her out to bushland where he then set it on fire. So all of that has now come to light as the version of events that is exactly what happened, as he has pled guilty to her murder.
So, Julia, can you take us through what the court has heard in the past week or so?
So we've heard from a number of witnesses, particularly this week we heard from Hannah McGuire's parents, who gave a lot of evidence about how Mr Young treated Miss McGuire during their relationship, including a number of panicked phone calls where she would be calling in hysterics, incredibly upset. You know, for example, one instance he was trying to run her off the road. We also heard about his conduct after he murdered her, including sending text messages from Miss McGuire's phone to Young, pretending to be her in what the prosecution has said was an attempt to stage it as a suicide. He also transferred money to their accounts. We heard from her work colleagues, and probably the most damning evidence came from his Young's workmate, Benjamin O'Keefe, who was the man that helped dispose of the car that Miss McGuire was in on the night that she was murdered. Now, the defence tried to say that he knew that her body was in there, that he saw her body dead in the house, and that it was his plan of how to dispose of that car. But what we know and what Mr O'Keefe has said is that he had no idea that her body was inside the car. And we also heard about a number of conversations that O'Keefe had with Young, including an admission from him that that Miss McGuire had suffocated and was dead before her body was found in that vehicle. So all of that has come to a head today with Mr Young pleading guilty to her murder.
And what's been the reaction to the guilty plea, Julia?
So in the courtroom today, it was completely packed with family and friends. And when the jury was brought in, and it's worth adding that they were one juror down. So yesterday there was a juror that pulled out, but the trial was to go ahead all the same. But when that jury was brought in and Young was rearraigned, so he was asked how he pled to the murder of his ex-partner, Miss Hannah McGuire, and he said guilty. And the court basically breathed a sigh of relief. You could feel the tension in the air. He was then taken out of the courtroom, and the court erupted into cheers, and there were a lot of tears and hugs. And we haven't heard from the defence or the prosecution or family since they've left court, but all we know so far is that there's been a mention scheduled for next Friday, where we will find out what happens next.